right, so here's the clay creature demonstration thing. So you should have a drawing where we made a C and then an O and an O inside it. That's our basic setup for the pinch pot. This is the pinch pot. And then you were to create, whatever you wanted. So eyes, you want to do horns or cones, get some horns. I want to do teeth or cones. No, I'll do a cylinder for a leg here, which means I'll need a cylinder on the other side. So pretend the thing is transparent, right? And you could decorate and do whatever you want, but yeah. Okay. So first step, I got myself my clay. I'm going to take inventory of how many pieces I need and what. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cones, 2 cylinders, and 2 spheres. So I'm going to rip off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of clay. Now, whatever you make for these things have to be the thickness of your fingers. So if you're like, oh, well, I want the eyeballs to be teeny tiny, that is not okay. This will pop off of your creature. You need to be able to stick it and have it adhere well. So an eye should be the thickness of like the end of your finger. So like that. That's the thickness of my finger. So eye. Now these don't have to be perfect. So you don't want to spend time on these because we're going to be mushing them up. Now you do want to kind of move quickly here. The longer you take with this and the more stuff you do with the clay, the quicker it will dry out. This is not Play-Doh. If you keep working it and messing around with it, eventually it'll dry. So especially people at home who I can't say, no, bad. You really only have one shot, and then once it dries out, it's going to be the thing that you made, and that's it. If it gets all crumbly and cracky, you're just going to be out of luck. Okay, so I have myself. Okay, so I've got myself all the shapes that I need for my monster-y, creature-y thing. All right, so now what I'm going to do is form them to make them look more like the things that I did. So I make this kind of a cone shape. I'm making each shape actually look like what it should be instead of just like a random blob of clay. Again, these do not have to be perfect. We're going to be doing a bunch of stuff with these. But notice how large the teeth are. So these teeth are about the size of my thickness of my finger. If there's something that is skinny and long, it is likely to break, crack off, pop off. If it is too thick, it will likely to have similar consequences. So you want it, everything should be about as thick as your finger. So I'm just squishing this, forming it into a cylinder. I got my eyeballs already set. I have some more cones for the horn things that I did. All right. Pointy and one more pointy. So all of your shapes that we're going to start with should be cylinders, cones, spheres, cubes. So the basic shapes we can draw, that we know how to create 3D. Now, once you attach them to your creature, they might change. So if you had, this might have been a curvy leg, you could take the cylinder and curve it. So you can manipulate these, but everything's made out of these basic 3D shapes. So if it's 3D, it's made out of these. You just modify the matcher. Okay, so I've got all these shapes ready to attach. Now I need to do this step. You use a pencil for this, and it should be kind of pointy. The 3 ways that we attach things, we scratch, attach, and match. So this is the first step. This is the scratch part. Now I have these all going the same way. I'm going to turn this and go another way, turn this. I want this to look like kind of like Velcro. It should be really scratched up. Now just go through each one of these shapes. I'm going to go through and scratch them. And if you're trying to make wings and they're like pancakes, that won't work. If you're trying to make like tendrils or a tail and it's really thin, that won't work. You want to make them thick like I have these and stubby. If you do make them, you can try to make them thin like pancakes or, really skinny as maybe an experiment. But if you really want this to be successful and you don't want things to pop off or break or crack, thick like your finger and stubby, the way to go. All right, so all of the shapes that I created, where I'm going to attach, I have them all scratched up. They're all scraggly, rugged. I don't know. They look like that. Okay. Yeah, raggedy, like Raggedy and Andy. It's like ragged. Okay. Now, this part is for the body. This is the pencil thing that I drew. So this is our pinch pot. This is the non-negotiable. Everybody uses what's left over as your pinch pot for your body. So I'm going to take my thumb, squish it inside the clay, not all the way through, because if you go all the way through, you get a donut. And then I'm going to do this motion. So it's a pinch pot, so I'm pinching. Now I'm not pinching the rim at all. I'm pinching down here, like the wall of the pot. And just with this expanding like this is going to get thinner. The rim is going to get thinner. So you'll see. So I'm just pinching down at the kind of at the bottom almost. And as I pinch, I'm turning. So it's kind of blowing up like a balloon evenly. And you want this also to be the thickness of your fingers. So the wall of the pinch pot all around should be about the thickness of my finger. Let's go around. If it gets thinner, it's probably going to crack and break and pop and you'll be sad. All right. Now let's say on accident I squished the rim too much and it's really skinny. I can take my hand and pat like this, or I can pat it on the table and it'll smush it back down. And then you can kind of smooth it out. But again, everything, if you're like, hey, is this too thick? Check your finger. Hey, is this too, check your finger. It should be thickness of your finger. Okay. So now that I have my pieces and I have my pinch pot, I'm going to scratch where I'm going to attach these things. So I've got an eyeball. So I'm going to scratch and scratch. So we're mating these up. It's like Velcro. So you can't stick one piece of Velcro on something else. It needs to be Velcro on Velcro. So I have scratched, scratched, attach. And the final step is match. So what that means is you want, right now if I look at this, it looks like I took a piece of clay and squished it onto another piece of clay. I want it to look like it's the same piece of clay. So you can take your finger, you can take the side of your pencil, and you just want to smooth out the seam so it looks like just one piece of clay. So this is why you don't have to be really careful about making your sphere look like a sphere, because you're going to be drawing all over it and forming it and mushing it. So the spheres don't have to be perfect. All right. Now I have, it's an eyeball attached. This will not pop off. I can hold on to it and it's not coming off, even though it's this little tiny piece of clay. All right. So that's the protocol. So you scratch, attach, and you can wiggle a little bit so the attaching that they form together, and then match. And you need to do that for everything. So especially people at home, this was a common thing for lots of people at home. They would just take them and they would go like boop, boop. and I would get them back, and they'd just all be in the bag in pieces, and like I don't know where it goes where. So it's really important. So let's see where we got. Some horns. So stretch. And notice I'm rotating as I go. I want it to not just be a couple lines in one direction. I need lots of different directions. And smush them. You can use your fingers to smooth it out too. I just like using a pencil because I can be more careful with the pencil. Take my time. Okay. There's the outside. Oh, I got some legs. Scratch. Scratch leg areas. I guess this could be arms, maybe. I don't know. Now remember, you don't want your creature to be standing on legs. You want it to be sitting on the base of the pinch pot, like that. Okay. Now I have this coming out the side. That's okay, but it rests on the ground or on the table on the base of the pinch pot. All right, and I'll do the other arm, and then I think the last part is my teeth. Last part is the teeth. Okay, so smooth this all out. Yep, yep. You could attach. So say you wanted to attach it like this. Attach it like that, so it's on the side. So I could have, if I wanted to attach it that way, put the scratches on the side of the cylinder and then went, but I didn't. Okay. So last step, teeth. This is gonna be kind of hard. Again, super important to scratch, attach, and match. So this is where the pencil really comes in handy. So again, notice that I'm really they're getting squished and moved around. So when you make these, the first step when you make these, you don't have to be careful with them. All right. Okay. All right. Now I'll have this all set. Once you finish attaching everything, then you can start really doing like fine detail stuff. You can, if you want to make the eyeballs have like, make it look like an eyeball, you can take your pencil and wiggle it around inside the eyeball. If you want to have some texture, so say this was going to be like some sort of like underwater creature, you could give it scales by just doing a bunch of smiley faces. Now mine, because it's wet, has these little pills of clay that are forming. You don't have to worry about trying to get those off. They'll pretty much just fall off once the clay dries. So like these little pills that are popping up, you can try to get them off, but you don't have to. You can leave them. But at this point, I can do all sorts of details. So if you had small little features on your drawing, instead of trying to attach really small pieces of clay, you could, like, say you wanted to have like a nose that had like horns, or maybe you wanted, um, I don't know, I don't know. Say you wanted something that looked like that. Instead of making little balls of clay, you can form the clay. Um, Form the clay instead of trying to attach little tiny balls of clay that will fall off. They will fall off. If you try to make something small like these, it's going to fall off. No. So this was actually the clay. I just squished the clay with my finger instead of attaching something else to the clay. See? Right? 3 nostrils, because why not? It's my monster. Okay, so adding detail to this, make it look really great. You can smooth things out. And the final step is on the bottom, you're going to put your initials and your period numbers. So this is period 4. I'm going to put a 4 here. All right. Now, if you have initials that are, you got matching initials to someone else, you can put other things here, 2021, whatever. But it needs to have your initials and your period number. I actually cancel that. Make sure it's just these things. If there's another person with your initials, just add one more initial or something. I don't know. Or put a 2 hashtag. I don't know. But this is just 2 letters and a number would be fantastic. Okay? And that is our play creature demonstration.